Ladies and gentlemen friends, we live in a world obsessed with titles. CEO, manager, director, influencer. People chase these labels thinking they hold the power to lead, to command respect, to create change. But what if I told you that real leadership has nothing to do with the title on your business card, and everything to do with the character inside your heart in today's fast-paced, status-driven world? It's easy to believe that leadership is defined by titles: CEO, director, manager, supervisor. We're conditioned to associate power and respect with the position someone holds. But the truth, as Jim Rohn so powerfully emphasized throughout his life and teachings, is that leadership has little to do with the title in front of your name and everything to do with the influence behind your actions. Influence is quiet. It doesn't wear a name badge. It doesn't need applause. It shows up in how you carry yourself, how you treat others, and how consistently you act in alignment with your values. Influence is about impact, not authority. And that's what separates a true leader from someone who merely holds a position of power. Jim Rohn once said, "The challenge of leadership is to be strong, but not rude. Be kind, but not weak. Be bold, but not a bully. Be thoughtful, but not lazy. Be humble, but not timid. Be proud, but not arrogant. Have humor, but without folly." This quote captures the heart of what it means to lead with influence. It's a delicate balance, not a list of job responsibilities, but a reflection of inner strength and character. You can hold a title and still fail to inspire. You can be in charge and still not be respected. On the other hand, you can be the intern, the assistant, the newest member of the team, and still lead powerfully by the way you show up every day. That's because influence comes from trust, consistency, and example. People follow someone they believe in, not someone who simply outranks them. Think about the people who have impacted your life: most mentors, friends, family members, coaches. Chances are, many of them didn't have formal authority over you. What they had was presence. They had integrity. They lived their truth and encouraged you to do the same. That's influence, and it's far more lasting than any title printed on a business card. Leadership at its core is service. It's about lifting others, seeing potential in people before they see it in themselves, and choosing courage over comfort. When you lead with influence, you're not focused on control, you're focused on contribution. And that shift changes everything. Titles can be given, influence is earned. You earn it through how you treat people when you have nothing to gain. You earn it by showing up prepared, even when no one is watching. You earn it by staying true to your values when it's inconvenient. These are not things a title can guarantee. They come from within. Jim Rohn believed deeply in self-leadership, the idea that you must first learn to lead yourself before you can lead anyone else. If you can't manage your emotions, your habits, your time, your energy, what makes you think you'll be able to manage others effectively? Influence starts with self-control. It starts with discipline. It starts with being the kind of person others naturally want to follow. And here's the beauty of it. Because leadership is about influence, not position, anyone can step into it right where they are. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for a title. You can start right now by leading yourself with purpose, leading others with respect, and leading your life with intention. At the end of the day, titles fade, positions change, but the impact you make through your influence that lasts, that's remembered. That's what real leadership is made of. So whether you're the janitor or the general manager, the team member or the team leader, remember this: you don't need a title to be a leader. You just need to decide to be one. Real leadership begins with one person, you. Before you can lead others, you must first learn to lead yourself. This idea, central to Jim Rohn's philosophy, is the foundation upon which all genuine leadership is built. Without mastering self-leadership, any attempt to influence or guide others will be shallow, unstable, and ultimately ineffective. Leadership means taking full responsibility for your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your growth. It means having the discipline to do what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it, and the courage to face your own weaknesses head on. The truth is, no title, no position, no external authority can make you a leader if you don't first take charge of your own life. Many people make the mistake of believing leadership is about directing others or making big decisions. While those things matter, the more critical challenge is internal. How do you manage your mindset when things go wrong? How do you control your habits when distractions abound? How do you maintain your integrity when shortcuts seem tempting? These are questions of self-leadership, and your answers define whether you're prepared to lead anyone else. Jim Rohn famously said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." Discipline is an essential aspect of self-leadership. It's waking up early to work on yourself, reading books that stretch your mind, practicing skills that push your limits, and saying no to immediate pleasures in favor of long-term growth. When you develop this discipline internally, you model the behavior you want others to follow. You become a living example of what's possible. Self-leadership also means understanding your values and living in alignment with them. True leaders don't just talk about what's right, they act on it. When your values guide your decisions, you build trust and credibility. People follow those who are consistent and authentic. This authenticity can only come from leading yourself first. Moreover, self-leadership involves emotional intelligence. Leadership is not about suppressing emotions but managing them effectively. When you can regulate your reactions, communicate clearly, and empathize with others, you gain influence naturally. These skills start with self-awareness and self-control, core components of self-leadership. Another important part of self-leadership is resilience. The journey to becoming a leader is filled with setbacks, failures, and criticism. Those who lead well are not the ones who avoid failure, but those who learn and grow from it. Developing resilience requires you to take ownership of your mistakes, forgive yourself, and keep moving forward. This inner strength inspires others to persevere as well. Without self-leadership, it's easy to fall into blame, excuse-making, and complacency. But with self-leadership, you accept that your life is shaped by your choices. You understand that you can't control everything, but you can control how you respond. This mindset is transformative. It shifts you from being a victim of circumstances to being the architect of your future. When you lead yourself well, others notice. You don't have to demand respect or authority. It comes naturally. People are drawn to those who have clarity, purpose, and a steady sense of direction. Your self-leadership creates a ripple effect, encouraging your family, your team, your community to raise their own standards. Jim Rohn's teachings remind us that leadership is not a destination, but a continuous journey of self-improvement. There is no finish line in self-leadership because growth never stops. Every day is an opportunity to refine your mindset, habits, and skills. By committing to this daily practice, you become a leader who can withstand challenges and inspire progress. In essence, if you want to lead others effectively, start with leading yourself. Cultivate discipline, embrace responsibility, live your values, develop emotional intelligence, and build resilience. This inner foundation is what sustains and amplifies your leadership impact. No title or external power can replace the strength of self-leadership. So, the next time you wonder how to become a better leader, look inward. Ask yourself, how well am I leading my own life? Am I the person others can trust, follow, and believe in? The answers to these questions will guide you toward authentic leadership that starts within, just as Jim Rohn taught, one of the most powerful and transformative principles Jim Rohn shared is that true success and leadership come from working harder on yourself than on your job. This idea may seem counterintuitive at first, especially in a culture that often glorifies long hours and relentless hustle. But the truth is, no matter how hard you work at your job, if you don't invest in your personal growth, your progress will be limited and your potential capped. Working hard on your job typically means focusing on tasks, deadlines, and responsibilities. It's about doing your duties well and fulfilling expectations. While this is important, it's only part of the equation. The bigger, more impactful work happens when you invest in yourself, your mindset, skills, character, and vision. This inner development is what drives sustainable success and meaningful leadership. When you commit to working harder on yourself, you're essentially investing in your most valuable asset. Your knowledge, habits, emotional resilience, and attitude shape everything you do. If you grow these areas, your ability to perform, innovate, and influence grows exponentially. Conversely, if you neglect personal development, no amount of effort at work can produce lasting results. Jim Rohn often said, "Success is not to be pursued. It is to be attracted by the person you become." This means that success is less about chasing external achievements and more about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts success. That transformation comes from daily habits, reading, learning new skills, reflecting on your mindset, and sharpening your emotional intelligence. Working harder on yourself means cultivating discipline. Discipline in your learning, discipline in your choices, and discipline in your actions. It might look like waking up early to read a book that improves your skills, or setting aside time each day for self-reflection and goal setting. It might mean surrounding yourself with mentors and positive influences who challenge you to grow. This kind of work doesn't always produce immediate results. It's slow and sometimes invisible, but over time, it compounds just like investing money in a savings account. The more you invest in yourself, the greater your returns in all areas of life. You become more confident, more adaptable, and more prepared to handle challenges when they arise. Another reason to work harder on yourself is that the world is constantly changing. Jobs, industries, and technologies evolve rapidly. If you don't keep growing, you risk becoming obsolete. The skills and mindset that got you here won't necessarily get you where you want to go next. By focusing on yourself, you stay relevant, flexible, and ready to seize new opportunities. Personal development also enhances your relationships, which are crucial for leadership. When you work on your communication skills, empathy, and emotional control, you create stronger connections with others. Leadership is built on influence, and influence grows when people trust and respect you. That trust often starts with how well you understand and manage yourself. Moreover, working harder on yourself builds resilience. Life will inevitably throw setbacks your way, failures, criticism, and unforeseen challenges. If you've developed mental toughness and a growth mindset through your personal efforts, you'll bounce back faster and keep moving forward. This resilience not only benefits you, but also inspires those around you to persevere. In contrast, focusing solely on your job without investing in self-growth can lead to burnout and frustration. You might become skilled at performing tasks but lack the motivation and vision to innovate or lead. You may feel stuck, limited by your current role, or anxious about the future. Personal development gives you the inner resources to break through those barriers and create your own path. Jim Rohn's philosophy reminds us that leadership is a reflection of who you are becoming. If you want to lead effectively, you must prioritize becoming a better version of yourself. This means being intentional with your time, choosing growth over comfort, and viewing every day as an opportunity to improve. Ultimately, working harder on yourself than on your job is not about neglecting your responsibilities. It's about elevating your capacity to handle those responsibilities with excellence and purpose. It's about understanding that the most important project you'll ever work on is you. And by investing in that project, you unlock the ability to make a greater impact, inspire others, and achieve lasting success. So, ask yourself, are you spending more time and energy on developing yourself than on simply completing your job? If not, make that shift today. The results won't just change your career, they'll change your life. True leadership is not about grand speeches, public recognition, or standing in the spotlight. It's about consistency in character, especially when no one is watching. Jim Rohn emphasized that real leaders set the standard through their daily actions and habits, not just through words or formal titles. Leading by example means embodying the values, discipline, and integrity you want to see in others even when it's inconvenient or unnoticed. The power of leading by example lies in its authenticity. When you demonstrate commitment to your principles in private, you build an inner strength that naturally radiates outward. People can sense when someone's integrity is genuine versus when it's performative. Leadership that is true and lasting doesn't depend on audience approval. It depends on a deep alignment between who you are and what you do. Often, the most important leadership moments happen behind the scenes. It's the small choices you make when no one's around, choosing to do the right thing instead of the easy thing, showing up on time, giving your best effort, and honoring your commitments. These moments build trust and respect over time, creating a foundation for influence that no title can replace. Leading by example requires discipline and self-awareness. It means holding yourself accountable to a higher standard, not because someone else is watching, but because you value your own character. This kind of leadership reflects a mindset of responsibility, understanding that your actions affect others, even if they're not immediately visible. When you consistently model positive behavior, you inspire others to follow suit without saying a word. Jim Rohn's teaching encourages us to be the person who quietly does what's right every day. This quiet leadership is often more powerful than loud words or commands because it creates a culture of excellence. When one person leads by example, it motivates an entire team or community to raise their standards. The ripple effect of your consistent actions can influence attitudes and behaviors in profound ways. Another important aspect of leading by example is humility. Leaders who lead only when watched or praised may struggle to maintain influence because their actions can seem insincere. Genuine leadership is rooted in humility, the willingness to do the hard work without seeking attention or validation. This humility shows others that you're not above them, but alongside them, working toward a shared goal. Leading by example also means embracing mistakes and learning from them openly. No one is perfect, and leaders who acknowledge their errors show strength rather than weakness. This vulnerability builds credibility and encourages a culture of continuous improvement. When people see that their leader is committed to growth and honesty, they feel safe to do the same. The impact of leading by example extends beyond work or formal leadership roles. It applies to all areas of life: family, friendships, community involvement. Your habits, attitude, and approach to challenges set a silent example for those around you. Children learn values by watching their parents, colleagues by watching their peers, and communities by watching their leaders. Your personal conduct becomes a blueprint for others. Sometimes, leading by example requires sacrifice. It means choosing long-term benefits over short-term gratification. It might mean working late to finish a project, admitting when you're wrong, or maintaining your composure in difficult situations. These sacrifices build respect and trust, the core of real leadership influence. When you lead by example, you create a standard that others aspire to reach. It sets a tone of integrity, excellence, and accountability that no policy or rule can enforce. People don't just follow orders, they follow the example set before them. This kind of leadership creates lasting loyalty and motivation, far beyond what can be achieved through authority alone. Jim Rohn's philosophy reminds us that leadership is less about what you say and more about what you do. The legacy you leave is not in your words but in your actions. By consistently leading by example, especially when no one is watching, you build a foundation of trust and respect that empowers others to grow and succeed alongside you. Ultimately, leading by example is about becoming the person you wish others to be. It's about integrity, discipline, and humility in every moment, visible or invisible. When you commit to this kind of leadership, you don't just influence others. You transform yourself, your environment, and your community in meaningful ways in the end. Leadership is not about the title you hold or the position you occupy. It's about the influence you cultivate, the example you set, and the person you become every single day. Jim Rohn's philosophy teaches us that real leadership starts within, by mastering ourselves first, committing to constant growth, and choosing integrity even when no one is watching. So don't wait for permission, don't wait for a title. Start leading today by working harder on yourself, embracing responsibility, and inspiring others through your actions. Because when you lead from within, your impact becomes limitless. Remember, leadership is a journey, not a destination. And the most powerful leaders are those who never stop growing, never stop striving, and never stop believing that they can make a difference. Thank you